What up, Red Dreaded Nation? Akasan here. Hey, I wanted to get some comic news out to you really quick since I was sitting down with the camera and I just talked about the Dark Knight Trilogy that the Dark Knight Challenge that we're going to be doing next week. So make sure you check out that video before anything else. But speaking of not as successful storylines and trilogies from DC movies, I gotta clarify something that Jay Olivia dropped on some information about the Snyder cut of the not-so-successful Justice League movie, the very controversial one. This one is actually coming from comicbook.com, and I'll just kind of read through this because I think it'll be a little fairly important for a few people here. When it comes to hot topics within the DC fandom, there are a few more discussed, theorized about, and even argued over than a so-called Snyder cut of Justice League. Debates about the very existence of Zack Snyder's original vision for the DC Extended Universe film have raged since Justice League hit theaters last year. And recent comments from storyboard artist Jay Olivia have helped keep the debate alive. Now, Olivia is clarifying things. Speaking with Revenge of the Fans, Olivia didn't directly address the debate as to what actually exists of Snyder's version of the Justice League. He previously said that everything that was storyboarded for the film had been shot. Instead, he clarified that while a fully finished, ready-for-theater version doesn't exist, and that despite recent rumors, Snyder hasn't actually actively worked on the film since leaving the project. A version that was shown to Warner Brothers studio executives does. Okay. Well, I wouldn't discount Zack having a trailer ready. He's really good at cutting trailers. You know what? This I can agree with. I can completely agree with. Moments. Zack Snyder is very good at moments. He's really good at cutting trailers, but I don't think he's been working on Justice League since I'm sure he has a cut he's happy with and that he screened to execs way back in the editing of Justice League prior to Whedon, Olivia said. Olivia also said, ultimately, fans know that and just want to see that version even if the studio isn't interested in polishing Snyder's screening version into a finished product. This, I also agree with. I completely agree with. Give the fans what they want. Even unpolished, I think, would just to put this to rest, basically. Just to put this to rest. Let's continue. That's what the whole movement is about, Olivia said, in the Release the Snyder Cut movement. It's not about finishing the film. It's about showing the fans of Zack Snyder's universe, established in Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, the more accurate representation of where the story was supposed to go. I have a commentary about that, but in short, my opinion about that is it's where it's supposed to go is basically it was supposed to go into Justice League 2, and that's one of the main reasons it was cut up again. But that's a whole nother thing. That representation is something that fans are hopeful will surface at San Diego Comic-Con later this month. Not only have there been rumors that Snyder has spent the last 7 months finishing his version of Justice League, there has also been rumors that Warner Brothers could use its Hall H presentation to unveil it. I don't know, no way. Though Olivia said that kind of announcement was up in the air. Whether or not anything will be announced for SDCC, that's up in the air, Olivia said. I love to hear something like everyone else, and I'm sure Zack will talk about it at some point in the near future. Okay. The takeaway here, according to Olivia, full version of Snyder Cut's Justice League exists, just without the bells and whistles of a theatrical release. Meaning it likely has incomplete VFX, could be without scoring, etc. And there's no telling when or if it will ever see the light of day. What Olivia was sure about, though, was that the Snyder Cut's best chance for release is the continued support from the fans. AT&T, you better watch out. You're going to get a lot of comments on Twitter. He said that just as vocal response led to the changes in Justice League initially, a vocal demand might just get the Snyder Cut released. Well, it's the critics and bloggers who got the executives to change course, Olivia said. That's true. What do you think will happen when enough of the public outcry reaches them? I'm not an exec at WB, nor am I still an employee. No shit! That's too bad. I really like his work. But stranger things have happened. Justice League, the version seen in theaters, is currently available on DVD, Blu-ray, and digital. You know, DC Sun bought the Blu-ray of that and the 4K Blu-ray. I don't even know if this dude even has a 4K Blu-ray player, but he bought it. Like, I was shocked beyond belief that he got it, but he likes it. I guess he liked the movie. It's so weird to me, but that's a whole nother story. What I will say, here's what I'll say about the Snyder Cut situation is, very similar to the ultimate cut of Batman v Superman. I feel like they should have included some sort of information or some sort of documentary on the original cut of Justice League. I don't know why they didn't do that. Like, the Blu-ray release of Justice League felt really empty. And I felt like they really, for what that movie was, they could have just put in not an extended version, but they could have at least put in some of the deleted scenes and show. But I think in some form or fashion, it's kind of embarrassing for them to admit so much was cut. You know, when deleted scenes, like say for instance, Black Panther has some great deleted scenes that was chopped up and such. But at the same time, it doesn't take away from the original movie. It doesn't look like a completely different movie. Whereas with Justice League, Snyder's stuff being cut, a good amount of his stuff being cut, you're like, whoa, this is pretty crazy that they chose to go a completely different direction. The other problem here with the Snyder Cut is, as far as I know, that was to lead into Justice League 2. Or something it wasn't going to be finished, and I think that's the biggest problem. Is I was talking with somebody about this the other day. Is the fact that the WB execs, Snyder was already in hot water after Sucker Punch came out. Man of Steel kind of had a very lukewarm to controversial response. Profit-wise was okay. They threw in Batman. They rushed to throw in Batman. Snyder wanted to do Man of Steel 2, but they ended up doing Batman v Superman instead. So not all the blame for goes to Snyder on that one, because I know originally he did want to just do Man of Steel 2, but they were pushing to bring Batman back in after this trilogy was finished. Unfortunately, we got BVS, and as far as I know, after response of BVS, they were already filming Justice League. So the problem is, they were trying to make changes in Zack Snyder's vision before they even saw the end result of the beginning of it. And I think that's what the biggest problem was. Is a bunch of execs didn't really care. They just thought that people were going to eat that shit up, right? No matter what. Batman's in a movie, I'm going to love it. Like that, right? Justice League, as far as I know, was supposed to lead into some bigger build-up in the Justice League 2. And I remember the original schedule was supposed to be like that. That shit just ain't gonna happen, man. Like, at that point, right after BVS was really the beginning of the end for the Snyderverse. And it just so happens they were filming Justice League at the same time. So with every cut he showed to execs, in my opinion, I think whatever he could have shown them something amazing. But they were just so done with him and his style that they knew it wasn't going to fly by. the original Snyder cut was just not. If it was going to be, if it was going to be more of the same of BVS, or even remotely close to that same tone, the same thing that's embarrassed the entire DCEU, whether you like it or not, you can agree that it wasn't what the results weren't what people were looking for. And if it was going to just be more of the same, based upon a lot of the rumors we were hearing, Aquaman being an alcoholic, Batman being suicidal, the Flash having some form of autism, right? I don't know what. I think Wonder Woman was the only one untouched. Luckily, they didn't make her a prostitute or something, Frank Miller style. But it just wasn't gonna fly. So I kind of see why they kind of left it out in all mention of what the original Snyder cut could be. I still think they're probably not gonna own up to it or something like that. I think anybody that really wants to see what would happen, you're gonna have to wait till the entire landscape of the DCEU or DC films are completely different. So that's when they'll start talking about it. The same thing with like the Nicolas Cage Superman movie that they were doing. We're just now, 10 decades later, getting more information about what they were working on and things like that. I just don't think it's really it doesn't really favor the fans, or it doesn't really favor the studio to really go back on what could have been, opposed to where they're trying to go. I personally think that right now, the DCEU, like my feeling really hasn't changed ever since I've seen ever since I walked out of Justice League. I was like, they tried to fix it, they tried to make it better. It wasn't great, but it wasn't that bad either. They could have fixed up a lot of the CG and have a better polished look, but overall, I just wanted them to focus on solo films only and help build up characters, take time building up the franchise a little bit more, make the characters interesting, then give us the team up movies that we're supposed to care about them in. That's one of the reasons Avengers Infinity War has so many people shocked, the ending of that movie, because we've had time to actually adjust to these characters and feel something for them, instead of killing them like 3 movies in, right? So something to just think about. If they do give more information at SDCC, great. But particularly, I think it's better in all fans' minds to just try to understand that the entire universe itself is trying to move on. We got some great things coming up with Shazam. The Aquaman trailer is going to be coming out fairly soon at SDCC. And Wonder Woman 2, Wonder Woman 84, right? WW84. That shit looks really cool, so I really am looking forward to what's coming up on the new slate, instead of looking back to the past as what would have been. I also think, on the side, if I were Zack Snyder, if I really was pissed off, if I really, really wanted to, I'd just do similar to what Watchmen was. I'm not saying the actual Watchmen, but what the Watchmen was basically supposed to be. Watchmen, the idea of Watchmen was basically a different tale of the Justice League, but they just changed the names and gave it different identities. But you kind of, as far as I know, that's kind of what they were supposed to be. Dr. Manhattan was supposed to be kind of the Superman, so to speak. That fucking, what was his name? Night Owl was supposed to be Batman, or something like that, right? And then they changed some different things and what have you not. I think that's what that story was. But my opinion is, like, yeah, shit. Like, Zack Snyder should just make, like, get a budget, have somebody literally animate it. I'm sure there would be people out there to put together at least a CG, maybe if not CG, an animated version of his story. Change the names, call it Friends Club instead of Justice League. Legal Club. The animated movie. Everybody knows who he's talking about, but just legally speaking, he can't name them particular styles. Particular names. I think people would be satisfied with that, and I think that would be an interesting way for him to finish the story he wanted to do. I think enough fans would pay for something like that on Vimeo or what have you not. I don't know. Red Red Nation, stand up, speak up. Let me know what you guys think about this, and we'll talk about more comic news very, very soon. Take care of yourselves, guys. Make sure you follow me on my Instagram and all my other social media. Always talking about this stuff almost every day on Twitter. And we'll take care. Peace.